How's it, guys? And welcome back to the channel and for another guide. This time it's for Assassin's Creed Revelations. This tutorial will be based on my Assassin's Creed Revelations Ray Tracing Reshade mod showcase, which is on screen at the moment. And if you never saw this and you would like to see it, the links will be in the description below. There's also a comparison video to show you the vanilla and my Reshade mod. That link will also be in the description below, as well as all other links in regards to how to mod this game. I'm also going to go nice and slow for those that are new to modding. So we're going to go through this step by step. So hopefully at the end of this process, you will have a better understanding of how to mod. And you can use the learning that you get from this video for your future Anvil modding, even on other games. Let's get started. Before we get started with modding or anything like that, what you will need is a fresh install of Assassin's Creed Revelations, just so that you know that everything is working fine. We're going to go into the game. So this is going to be the first fix of the game. So if we go into the fresh install of Revelations, now if you're in the vanilla version of Assassin's Creed on modern machines, you will see it'll look like this, very glitchy, and even when you walk and stuff, you can't really control. This guy wants to go different places sometimes, and you know, the whole game is like this. So to fix this, you have to exit the game. Once you're out of the game, you need to go to the game's install directory. The easy way to find this is if you go to Properties on Uplay, and for Steam, it's kind of the same thing. And then go to Open Folder, and then this will be where your game is being installed. So all you need to do is look for a certain file. And the file in question is this one, System Detection. So you can either delete it since the game doesn't use it, but I don't like deleting files. So all I do is just change the name to anything else. I just put in a BAK for like backup. Once you do that, the game should fix itself. So let's go back in game and check. Now that we're back in game, as you can see, the game is no more glitchy and the game is in good working order, and you can play the game now from start to finish with any of that issues. Let's continue with the modding. And also don't forget to like this video, please, it helps a lot. With that being said, let's get started. The first thing that you will need is AnvilToolkit. This is our main modding tool, which will help us mod Assassin's Creed Revelations to whatever you would like. Now remember, although this guide is based on my showcase, you can use this guide to mod Revelations any way you see fit with whatever mod you would like. In my showcase, there's only two mods that I actually used. It is the Hooded Yusuf mod, as well as the Kill Ezio's Roman set, fully customizable. And the fourth item is Reshade itself. So let's go ahead and download each of these. So we'll just go to Files over here and download manually, and we'll download that. And for the Hooded Yusuf, there are two types of files, the data files as well as forge files. We'll get into this once we open up AnvilToolkit, but for now just either download one or the other one, or both, because I'm going to explain what both does. The second mod, the Kill Ezio Roman set, also has data or forge files. Just download the data file, as well as Reshade. So you just click on the button over here, it'll take you to the bottom of the page, and we'll download this button over here. Download Reshade 5.9.2. Don't install that. If you don't know what it does, then you don't need it. Now that we got our files, and don't worry about Reshade, I just put that in another folder, but we'll have the AnvilToolkit as well as the three files, the mod files, right? So let's just clean this up a little bit. So we'll just make a new folder and call this mods, and add all our mod files in there. And then we'll make a new folder called AnvilToolkit. And what we're going to do is just open up the zip, and we're just going to select all, right click and copy, back one out and go to AnvilToolkit and click paste. And this way it just extracts the files into your own folder. Now the great thing about AnvilToolkit is that nothing needs to be installed. It runs directly off the exe. Now to start modding Revelations, you will need AnvilToolkit as I mentioned before. But before we click on this, let me just explain what these forge files are. Think of these forge files as a zip file, and within a zip file there are other files, right? But we can't get into this file. So what we're going to use AnvilToolkit, and within a forge file are data files. That's why you have a choice between data or forge files in Nexus mods, but we'll get to that. First thing we need to do is double click on AnvilToolkit. Let's just minimize all of this so it's a little bit cleaner. Two windows will pop up. The console and this one. Don't get rid of this one because this thing will just tell you when things are successfully installed and unpacked and so on. So the game selector screen over here for AnvilToolkit will kind of scan your computer and see all the games that you have or don't have, you know. But as you can see here, it found my Revelations. But sometimes it won't find your game. So let me just show you that process. I just deleted Revelations. So sometimes if you look, you will see, oh, my Revelations is not there. So all you need to do is go to the plus sign to add a game. Let's just move this out of the way. And the preset you will use is Revelations. And then where's the path? So yours might be empty since it didn't show up over here. And all you have to do is go to your game install folder. So for us it is in games, Uplay, the best game launcher ever, and Revelations, and then click on the ACR SP, the single player.exe file. Just click once and then click open. It should come up there. This over here is just to change the icon. You see each one of them got their own icon, so you can put whatever picture that you want there to represent your game. But once you got that, you click OK, and then you should see, if you scroll down, it should come up here at the bottom. Now, if you've opened up AnvilToolkit and Revelations was there, you might have to click on this little pencil over here and also add where your exe is, since it might show up here but it can't find the game itself or the path of the game. So then you just have to go through this step like I explained. Once you've done that, you click OK, and now everything is set up for Revelations. We'll just double click on this box. So if you double click and just watch over here, what it's going to do is it's just going to read the entire game. So it'll say here, the game file list not found. Do you want to download it now? You'll say yes. What it's doing is it's finding the game list of your install folder. So all of these forge files and so on is just trying to read that list. So we'll say yes. And then you see it says game file list loaded. So all this is just a copy. Oh, not that folder. Sorry. Of your installation folder. See there? You'll see there the state. Okay. It's not showing exactly 100% because it's you'll see there Forge, Constantinople Forge, Den Defense Force, Den Defense. So it's just showing you this. Now that we got access to the game files and the Forge, we want to mod the game, right? So we'll go to our favorite mods that we want, and we'll start with the Yusuf mod. So whenever you want a certain mod, please read the description as well as the installation of the file, because this will help you explain where to actually drop the files within AnvilToolkit if you need to. And many mods will give you an option of either using the Forge file or the data file. So the Forge file for the Yusuf mod is this entire file itself, right? And the data file are the many files within a Forge file. So if we download a data file, and we'll go to slow download and just download it, you will see we have a data file and a Forge file, right? I just downloaded both. But if you're following this, you'll have the data file. So within the zip, if we just double click into this, you'll see a data folder. Sometimes there's a folder, it's just the way the modder wants to kind of organize his files so it's easier for you to know which files is where. So it's not the folder we're looking for, it's the files itself, the .data. See, .data. So these files need to go somewhere in one of these forges. So if we go to the description, he'll explain the data version, right? The data file that you downloaded. You just have to drop it inside the data PC underscore ACFE underscore Constantinople folder and compile it with Anvil, right? So let's look for this forge file. So it's this one over there, right? ACFE Constantinople.forge. So to look inside of this forge file, all you have to do is right click and unpack. You can also double click, it does the same thing. So we'll unpack it. You'll see there creating a backup, decentralizing, writing files. So just wait till everything is completed. And also, I might have not mentioned this, but any of these forge files that you are going to tinker with, what you should first do is in your install folder, find that forge file and create a copy of this for backup. So copy this. Some of these files can be big. Create a new folder, call it backup. Since what's happening now is nothing big, it's just reading into the file. So we're not changing anything yet. But you'll see my drive is very slow because it's actually running on this drive at the moment, trying to open it up. So we got our backup. We'll go into it and we'll paste that Constantinople forge file in here. So if anything goes wrong, we can just replace it with the original right back and then your game should still be fine. So do the step first before you even click into the forge file. But okay, so let's just go back up and let's just wait for writing all of the files. Depending on the size of the forge file, some forge files are big with many files in it and it will take a long time, and sometimes it'll be almost instant. And there we go. It says successfully read forge file in the console, and you'll see here it changed to the data. So now we're inside of this forge file over here. Here you can see the path. So these are the files that we're going to kind of replace, which is why I say you create a backup. Now, if we go to the zip file that has the body, head, and Yusuf data, you'll see it's 1. This name is very specific. So if you look over here, we don't see anything like that. So this mod is just adding to this forge file. It's not replacing. Some mods will actually replace this entire data file with something else. And I'll explain that a little bit later when we get onto the second mod. But for now, all we're going to do is click and drag over. And remember, this thing doesn't ask you if you want to replace a file or not. It just replaces it. So be careful. But we'll just click and drag. And there you see. There's Yusuf head, body, and this one I think. Yeah, the U. So now that we're happy with what we got, all we have to do is click up once. And then we're in this section. And we want to close forge file again. We want to recompile it since we kind of opened it up, you know, and decompiled the file itself. So we'll just right click and go to repack since we unpacked it, in other words. So we'll click on this and we'll wait for this process to end. There we go, successfully written to forge. So if we go back up again, now we're in the game's main folder. And we've actually changed this. So now when you see Yusuf, he's actually wearing his hood. Now if you run into any errors or the game doesn't want to actually repack your file, then you did do something wrong. Because when I first done this, I forgot to let this thing kind of run. Like I was a little bit too quick. So when I thought it was successfully read already, so then I just didn't change anything. So I just double clicked again and I kind of stopped this process, which means I couldn't pack it again. So then if that happens, but you still want the mod, then you can just replace this entire forge file, not through AnvilToolkit, but actually, let's just close this. If you're just going to replace a forge file, then all you need to do is go to your mods, and if you chose your forge file, you'll see it's a complete forge file. So it's that 894 megabyte file. You'll go to your Assassin's Creed game path, and it's this file that you want to actually replace. So this file that he's got here is exactly the same file as vanilla, except for it includes the Yusuf mod already in it. So now you're asking yourself, but then why don't I just take the forge file? Well, firstly, it's bigger, so if you don't have a lot of internet speed, you rather take the data files, which is smaller, and then put it in yourself. But why not just take a forge file and then just replace it? Because sometimes there are other mods that also use this Constantinople forge file and have their own mods that need to be placed in it. So if you have multiple mods that use this forge file, you will have to get the data of each of those 3 mods and then place each of those 3 mods within this forge file. That's if each of those 3 mods have unique names for their data files. If 2 of the mods replace the same file, the same data file, then you're going to have to choose which mod you actually want, because you can't run both at the same time. And the way I'll explain that is like this, through a visual representation. Oh look, it's a forge file. Let's go into it. Inside the forge file are data files. Now, let's go to our 3 favorite mods. For simplicity's sake, all 3 mods have 3 different outfits. In the forge file, there is a data file named A, there's a data file named B, and there's a data file named C. And each A, B, and C correspond to the in-game outfit, which is represented here. Now, with the mods that you've downloaded, you will see the data file that it has is data file A. The second mod is data file Z, and the third one is data file A as well. And all 3 mods need to be placed in the forge file that we've just opened up, which contains data file A, B, and C. Are you getting where I'm going with this? So now we are going to replace mod 1 and take that data file A and place it into the forge file and actually replace the original vanilla data file A like this. So now when you go in game and you select outfit A, it will actually show you the modded version of outfit A since you've replaced it. Then we'll go to the second mod. The second mod adds a file to this forge file, which is data file Z. So now you don't have to worry about it replacing any files, so you can also add it to that forge file. So now you have mods 1 and mod 2 in that same forge file. But mod 3 is different. Mod 3 also replaces data file A. So if we put that in and we go back in game, you won't see mod 1's outfit anymore. You will see mod 3's outfit. So that is where you have to make a choice, because this mod both use the same file, and that's how you have to decide on certain mods. Therefore, it's important to read the description within the mod description in the first page to actually see which file it actually replaces. Sometimes it says it, sometimes it doesn't, but at least you have an understanding now of the process and how to go about deciding what mod to use and how certain mods can be used together and other mods are incompatible. Let's move on with the tutorial. The next mod is the Kill Ezio Roman set. But as you can see in the mod, there's a variety of choices, right? So he's showing you each of the different options. The Assassin White, which is in the showcase, the Florentine Crimson, Scarlet, Wine Color, and if you go on, then he shows each of them in game, and then he goes to the next set that he's also got and he shows them in game. So we are just going to download the data file and not the forge, because remember the forge is the entire file, and then he chose which one of these sets that he liked the best. But you would like maybe the Assassin's Creed white one, or you wanted actually the Venetian wine one, you know, and that's not in the Forge one that he has. If you go into the description, he'll explain everything. We're going to go through this process. We've downloaded the data set, which is all of them. And then he says datapc.forge. That's what we're going to be using. So let's go to our Anvil toolkit. Let's actually make this a little bit small over here so we can follow through. Datapc.forge. So let's just unpack this. You can see it's creating a backup and it's doing its thing. I'm going to make this thing a little bit smaller so we can also have the zip file over here. Okay, there we go. Now we're within the DataForge file, datapc.forge file, and we see all the data files. And his explanation is over here. And then he'll say, okay, so we waited till everything was unpacked. Then we'll copy the data. So we'll go into the zip file. This is what we're actually looking for. Make this small over here. See, this modder explains where you have to put in what Forge file. So we're in the Forge file already. And then he explains which files to copy over. So copy the CRU one, which is this one over here. The game bootstrap one, which is this one over here. As well as the localization package, which is this one over here. Then only one of the other files he says that you also need to copy. And as you can see, this correlates to this over here. So you can only choose one of these because each of them are replacing one file, the same file. So we are going to take the Assassin's Creed white one, but you can decide on which one that you want to take. And all we have to do is, if we go back to the explanation, he says just copy it over, right? Just copy them into that folder. So that's what we're going to do. So also keep in mind, before you even copy over, just make sure, because you see they're all numbered, just make sure if it's not copying over something else over here or not. But it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's all original names. So we can feel free to copy over. So click and drag over and have it copy. And there we go. But he also says next step is copy all files from the datapc extra.forge and paste them into the folder DataForge folder, right? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to click back and we're going to right click on this and we're going to repack it since we're done with this Forge file. And let's just wait for it to, there it's successful. We'll go back again and we'll go to the DataForge extra. So we just have to look for that one. Here's it. datapc_extra. So we'll right click, unpack. We're in this folder. Now we go back out one and we go to his folder over here. And we're going to copy everything. Because that's what he said. Let's just make sure. Copy all files. Alright. So we're going to click and drag over. And let it copy over. And there we go. Successfully read into Forge. And we'll see it all here. So we'll click back one up again. And now we're going to repack the extra.forge file. And we'll repack that. And wait for this thing to be done. And there we go. It's successful. And we'll click back out. And there we've done it. We've just modded the game for Yusuf to have a hood. As well as to change the default robes of Ezio to be the Assassin's Creed white outfit. So we'll close this. He'll explain also here, just if you're unsure. Each of these mods are different, but he'll say, oh, this brings, this changes the default outfit. Yeah, it says there, the Roman set replaces the default outfit, and all the armor pieces Obviously, you don't get to wear all the armor pieces, you still need to buy them. But other mods will give it to you. You just have to find the mod that you like. Now, what you should also do is test the game after every mod. Or at least after every 2 or 3 mods. So that in case the game breaks, then you at least know which mod is the one that caused it. Then you take the forge file, which you've backed up, and you just replace it with the one that you tinkered with so that the game can run again. And when you know which mod is the one that's causing it, you can either ignore that mod or try and see if there's a fix somewhere. Usually when you go to the forums, there will be help. But Assassin's Creed Revelation doesn't have a lot of mods. It's a little bit of the black sheep of the family. But let's test the game. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing the Assassin's Creed white robes from the mod. So everything is working, and if we meet Yusuf, he should also be wearing the hood. Now that you're done modding the game with all the different mods that you want, and the game is running successfully, we can go on to the next step, which is adding Reshade to the game. So first thing we do is close Anvil. Go to where your Reshade installer file is. For me, it's in my games folder, XXX mods, Reshade installer. I keep all my Reshades with certain Reshade files like 4.9.1, which is still one of the best ones. Works better on some games than others. But this game, surprisingly for how old it is, works just as well with the latest Reshade. So we'll just double click onto Reshade. Now we can either wait for the game to come up here, but if it doesn't, you just go to Browse and go to your install folder. So for us, it's in Uplay, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and then look for the ACR singleplayer.exe. Click once and click Open. Go Next. It's a DirectX 9 game, so leave it on DirectX 9. Click Next. This will be empty like this. You'll click Next. You can either check each one of these, or you can uncheck all and then check all. That's just a quicker way to get all of the effects. The reason why you want to select all the effects is because you don't know all the effects that I'm using in my Reshade preset or any other preset that you're going to download from the internet, unless they tell you. And sometimes they might tell you, but they forget one effect or not. So just to be safe, just check everything. These are small files, so don't worry, it's not going to clog up your drive. Click Next and wait for everything to be installed. Usually it takes quick, but sometimes, depending on the server load or something that they're doing, wherever these files are being kept, it can take a while. Like up to, I don't know, 15 minutes sometimes. But usually it takes under 30 seconds. Like it is now. Okay, once everything is done, you will be greeted with this and you'll click Finish. Now, just before we move on to uninstall Reshade, all you have to do is go back into the setup folder and just run Reshade again. Choose your game that you want to uninstall Reshade to, which is this one. Choose the file, the exe. Click Open. If you go Next, you go Next. It'll ask you to update, uninstall, or modify. So this is where you uninstall it. They should actually put it, like right in front. It's confusing so much different people. But this is how you uninstall Reshade from a game. And then you click Next and go through the process. But we're not going to do that. We want Reshade installed. So now we'll go to the game install folder. If we just refresh and put everything in its place, you'll see a new folder over there, reshade.shaders, as well as some DLL files and the Reshade file, which is this D3D9. That's what you're going to be using. Then go to my preset, which you've downloaded from my Discord. Within the zip, there's the Reshade preset as well as the README. I'm going to explain everything that happens in here, so you don't have to worry about that, but it's always good to read, please. So we go into the Reshade. There are 2 versions. There's the ray traced version, which uses Pascal's ray tracing. If you don't have that or you don't want it, then choose the non-ray traced Reshade, right? Which is this one over here. But we're going to go with the ray tracing one. So all we have to do is copy this and place it in the same folder as where the exe is. So we'll just paste it in there, and here it is. But now we still need to install the ray tracing. So most of you will probably know how to do it, but for those that don't, we'll go into the Reshade shaders folder, and you'll see two folders, the shaders and textures. So when you've downloaded your ray tracing preset from, or effect from Pascal, this is the file that you'll get. RTGI, it's 036.1. There are more newer versions, but I'm not too happy with the newer versions. I still prefer 0.36.1, which is why I'm still using it. But if you go into the zip, you should also see the same folder structure. You'll just select all, copy, and paste. And just replace all the it's not going to replace any of these folders. It's going to replace the files within that. So there's only a few files that it will replace, like blue noise and so on. So we'll just replace files. Otherwise, it's just adding extra files within this folder. Now that we've installed the ray traced effect, we also want, on Pascal's Discord, there is a motion estimation shader. So we'll go to that one, not the optical flow one, this one, motion estimation shader. And we'll go into it, and you'll see it's a .fx file. So we'll just copy this, and we'll go into the shaders. See, these are where all the .fx files are, and we'll just paste it in here. There it is over there. Now you've installed Pascal's ray tracing preset, as well as the motion shader. This is just free performance, and it looks a little bit better. Not on all games, but on this game. Now that that's done, we can load up the game. When you load up the game for the first time, you'll see right here on top, you see there, Reshade is actually taking effect. Just let this thing run. Especially the older the game, the longer it takes to compile for some reason. So just let it compile for a little bit and wait till it's done. Okay, everything has been compiled. So now after the first compilation, the next time you load up the game, it won't take that long to compile any of the shaders. But you will see it'll be press the home key on your keyboard. Once you press it, it'll open up this window over here, and all you have to do is skip tutorial. You don't need it. And you will also get, of course, these errors, especially with older games. Don't worry about it unless you're using some of these effects that might be in red. But I got these errors, which means I'm not using those effects, so you don't have to worry about it. As you can see, the video's playing in the background. But Reshade is used not for the menu of a game, especially ray tracing. You have to test this within the game. So we'll just close Reshade for now by hitting menu again. And let's go into the game. Now that we're into the game, what we first need to do is first find out what the depth is of this game, right? So we'll hit Reshade, and we'll type in over here in the search bar. Let's actually just move this a little bit so it's maybe more centralized so you can see a bit better. And we'll type in display, or DISP, and it should come up here. Display depth. So this is just to find the depth of the game. So we'll click on this, and you'll see, oh, everything is working. Oh, but it's not, because you see Ezio is not there, right? So just a quick tip, if you want to keep all the effects on, but you don't want to click here the whole time, if we just go to settings, if we click on this toggle over here, and we'll take a key that you are not using or the game is not using. I usually use scroll lock. Just click once and I'll click away, because if you press the escape button, it'll change it. Ah, they changed it finally on Reshade. Usually when you click the escape button, it changed it to the escape button. Then you have to click away. It's still good practice to just click away. But now that we got that, if we hit scroll lock, it gets rid of all the effects. So now you can actually go through your game, you know, when you're changing the colors or anything like that on Reshade. And you can play around like that. But for now, we want to leave it on. But we'll see Ezio's not there. So for that, we still need to go into add-ons. And over here, the correct thing is you'll click on this copy depth buffer. and you have to go through all of these to find the correct depth buffer, right? So if it's this one, it's not that one. Is it this one? Oh, it's that one, as you can see there, right? So if it's this, that's wrong. So this is the correct one. So a lot of games can save this setting, but this game, for some reason, every time you launch into the game, say you're done playing for the day and you start it up tomorrow, you have to go back into add-ons and click on the copy depth buffer and then choose that file again. Usually that file is based on your resolution that you're playing at, so it won't be this one, you know, it's normally this one. Now if you're trying to find the display depth, you might run into this issue, that the game either looks like this, right, where it's kind of fine on the left hand side, but on the right hand side it's black, or it might be that it's like blue and white. So there's two ways that you could try and find and resolve this issue. So first, let's just deactivate all the effects with scroll lock. The first thing is going to the game settings, like so, and go into your graphic settings and change the anti-aliasing. Just put it off. With this game, everything works fine with everything, but newer games, the anti-aliasing can affect your display depth, so you have to either choose a different one or switch it off. The one that still works with Reshade is FXAA, so that you can use, and then within Reshade just add more anti-aliasing if you want. Now if you've done that change and you go back into the game and the game is still like this, then the second option is you go to this little button over here, the Edit Global Processor Definitions, click on it, and then most likely it will be this, the Reshade depth input is reversed. If it's 1, set it to 0. If it's 0, set it to 1. So for us it's 1, we'll set it to 0, and we'll click away, and then we'll find out depth again, as you can see here. Let's just choose the correct one. You see it's changed again, now it's over here. So you just have to click through everything and find the correct depth. Now, if the left hand side is upside down, right? The normals, this is the normals. You go into processor definitions and select this one. So if it's 0, set it to 1. If it's 1, set it to 0. Then it should flip it around. And this one here, the logarithmic one, this is if you see a whole lot of lines on your depth. So either here as well as in game, then you set this thing. If it's 0, set it to 1. If it's 1, set it to 0. But for this game, everything should be set to 0, and then everything should look fine. So from here, we want to activate my preset, or the preset that you've downloaded. So we'll just deactivate this, and all you have to do is go to this little button over here, the Reshade preset, click on it once, and then scroll down to where your preset is. Here's it, click once, and then click select. And there you go. Everything seems to be fine. You can also play around with the settings over here if you want to change something. If you don't want the depth of field, like, let's just go a little bit this way. So the depth of field over there, if you don't like it, then just deactivate it by clicking on this little tick over here, and it should get deactivated. And this goes to any of the effects here. And that's about it. So we've come to the end of the guide. Hopefully this guide has helped you out. And if it has, and you want to see more guides like this or other Reshade presets, then subscribe to the channel. All my presets are free and will always be free. And don't forget to give this video a like. Like it now, please, please. Anyway, thanks for watching. Enjoy the game. Cheers. Bye-bye.